Good morning and welcome to this Tuesday. Happy Tuesday today. This is session 2 of my series that we are running now on conscious self-management, having moved on from self-awareness. So I want to welcome you all. I want to welcome any new people joining us. I'd like to ask you again to please say how's it in the comments column so I can see who's watching. It's great. If you like what you're seeing, share it on your page, share it to others, let others know about the series. All the previous ones are all archived on my Facebook page as well, so you're welcome to go back and watch through the different processes or through the different series, which we've covered already. Okay, so in today's session 2, we are going to be looking at a bit of the practical applications of some of these mindful techniques. Now, also just to let you know that this is a really shortened version of just a brief introduction to what is mindfulness. Hi Leonie, well, thanks for joining. Happy Tuesday to you too. So it's because the normal mindfulness-based cognitive behavior, the mindfulness-based stress reduction courses are a lot longer. Hi Rain, thanks for checking in. Thanks Bobs. Are a lot longer. It's an 8-week course. This is just over 7 days. So we're just going to be touching on and just introducing you to these concepts like mindful breathing, sitting meditation, body scan. In today's session, we'll touch on some of these and how to bring attention to the different parts of mindfulness techniques. So it certainly is not, I'm not pitching this as a mindfulness program of anything. It's more an introduction to mindfulness. So just please keep that in mind. I'd like to keep the mindfulness words sacred, if you want to call it that. Great. So again, sit back and enjoy. And like I said, please just any comments in the column, any questions, any concerns you have, you're welcome to contact me. You can check in with me, as I said, on private message me if it's something private you want to chat about, but we are available. Hi, Carol. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully you have no complications this morning with your feed. I did change the setup a bit so that the slides are a bit bigger. And hopefully I won't be checking in and out too much in today's session, but the others I might use it because it helps me on from this side, from the presentation side. So let's start with this quote that I have up on the slide. That's by Viktor Frankl. If you don't know who he was, he's a Nazi survivor, concentration camp survivor. His whole family were taken out. His parents were killed by the Nazis, his wife and his children, and he was put into one of the concentration camps. And in the concentration camps, what fascinated him was how some people, even though everyone was experiencing the same stress of being in a concentration camp, how some seemed to come out of it stronger and others were able to, some were coping better and others were just falling apart. So he wrote a lot of very interesting books, Man's Search for Meaning, one of them. And in this quote, he speaks about, it goes like this: between stimulus and response, there's a space. And in that space lies our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. So he wrote a lot about suffering, etc. But many of us are so impulsive or reactive that there's none of that pause. There's no space between stimulus and response. And we merely just act. And this is that zombification of our species that I spoke about in some of the previous series, that we constantly are not even thinking about our lives, and we're just going on through these like human hamsters on our mental treadmills. So mindfulness is a very wonderful technique to increase psychological distance, to allow us to find our centers and to be able to move forward from that, or sort of manage our lives, manage our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions from a nice point of calm and a point of centeredness. So one can think of mindfulness in a sense of a pause button. It's about its ability to be able to press pause and then make a decision on a conscious decision. So if you're going to say something that you might regret later, then you can decide whether you still want to say it or whether you're going to hold back on that thought. When I was much younger, I was extremely opinionated, and I still hear many people say, but it's my opinion, I'm entitled to my opinion. I think if everyone just shared their opinions freely, the world would be quite a disaster. So I've learned to filter some of the stuff that I say, and of course we are entitled to our opinions, but once you realize there's a big difference between opinion and fact, you would stop arguing opinion. And in fact, if it's fact, you wouldn't even argue fact, because then what's the point of arguing? Because if the other person is sitting with a different factual base, you're wasting your time anyway. So a lot of those inane or insane or unnecessary debates, you can pull back from and not even get into them. So let's move on to the first slide. So today we're going to be talking about practicing mindfulness and what is this thing called mindfulness. I know every series across that we've run, from the beginning on the hurricane, coping with the COVID hurricane, to the self-awareness 101, we spoke about mindfulness. But mindfulness, I want to explain to you, is a natural state of being. a natural state of being. It's not something, certainly we have to train to do it, because it's not going to just come consciously, because we've become so habitual and so, or literally fallen asleep, so unconscious in our lives that we need to practice becoming conscious again. We are so programmed by societies, by cultures, by our families, that we need to sort of deprogram and decide how do we want to move forward from it. So mindfulness, we frequently in the state without even realizing it. So if you're lying in bed and you hear a noise at night and suddenly you start checking in carefully and you want to listen firstly, was it the wind, whatever, that's mindful. That's being mindful, where you've suddenly decided, I must listen more carefully. If you think of a sports fanatic watching a game, you're sitting in the front of the TV trying to watch a rugby match, and there's a whole lot of noise, we can tune out that noise in order to focus on the game. And if we wanted to focus on the noise, we could do that. We would just pull our focus back from the game and then listen to what people are saying around us, and then check out of that again and check back into the game. That is being mindful, okay? And we frequently learn these different techniques, or not learn, we use these techniques of dividing our attention. Even if there's a thing we learn in psychology called the cocktail effect. We can be in the middle of a crowded room listening to the person in front of us, and the minute we hear our name mentioned, and it can be right across the room, our brain checks into our name and we can check out of this person and start checking in there. And then it's about bringing it back. So what mindfulness is going to teach us? Now, what often happens with us is our brains, we spoke about this monkey mind yesterday, our brains start creating so much noise in our heads, and we constantly engage in that noise without consciously pulling ourselves out of that noise to listen and focus on what the person in front of us is saying. So this is what we have to learn to do with mindfulness, is being able to divide our attention, which we can do naturally, but we become too habitual, and we need to start pulling that power back. One of the most important or first things that we have to do with mindfulness is learn how to attend. Without attention, there cannot even be memory. So we have to learn to attend. The first thing is attending, because when we attend, we're now listening to what's being said in front of us. Then that information needs to come in. It needs to go into our brain and be stored. And then we need to be able to store it in such a place that we know where to go retrieve it and bring it out again. And that's why it's so important for even school kids, varsity students, anyone who has to focus on their studies, to be able to learn to mindfully attend, to be able to pull their attention in when it gets distracted. But someone with, say, ADD, their attention will be distracted, and they won't even realize they're distracted until half an hour later before they bring themselves back, and they've wasted 30 minutes staring at a book and not actually learning. So I'm going to do a simple little exercise with you, and I'm going to keep quiet after this. And we're going to do it because you guys can do this wherever you are. If you're sitting at a desk, if you're lying in your bed, if you're sitting nicely relaxed on the couch, if you're in front of your laptop, it doesn't matter where you are, you can practice these exercises that we'll do today. So the first exercise is just to focus on our breath. We can do different ways of doing this. We can look around the room, that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which we mentioned in a previous session. 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 sensations in your body, 1 taste, 1 smell, and then 1 conscious breath. In this particular exercise or mindful exercise, we're just going to focus on our breath. And we can use our breath as an anchor. Now, all I want you to do is just focus on your breath for this minute. And I want you just to notice as you're breathing in, notice the air coming in through your nostrils. Notice the temperature of the air. Don't judge it, just notice it. Notice if your nose gets itchy when you breathe in. Notice your chest rising as you take the in-breath. Notice your chest deflating as you breathe out. Feel the air coming back out through your nostrils. Just check in with your breath. Okay, we'll talk a bit about acceptance in the next exercise. So I'm going to sit quietly for a minute. We're just going to go through this exercise now. I'm going to be quiet. Just check in with your breath. Try not to be distracted by the scenery. If you are distracted, that's also fine. Just keep coming back to your breath for this minute and just notice your breath. I'm going to be quiet now while we do this exercise, starting now. Okay, that's the first minute up. So how was that? Many people struggle with sitting still for a minute. Perhaps you were distracted. Perhaps there were sounds outside that pulled you away from your breath. That's okay. I'll explain that in the next slide about how do we move past all these distractions that are distracting us from sitting still and checking in with the breath. Did you find it easy? Did you find it difficult? Was your head making too much noise? So this first little exercise is simply checking in with your breath. And the simplest, I didn't give you a further instruction, but the simplest exercise when you check in with your breath is just, you could even be saying to yourself if you wanted to, that's me breathing in, I'm breathing out. I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. And then just to stay with that for, you can start with a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and build it up from there. But it's a great way just to check in and center yourself and to keep your attention on different aspects. Then we have this idea called acceptance. This is slightly different to the acceptance that we covered in our previous course, previous series. Acceptance in mindfulness is exactly that. And we're going to do another sitting meditation now for 2 minutes. And I want you just to understand this concept of acceptance. It's natural for our body, our mind, to run away with ourselves. Okay, it's going to keep running away because there's things going on. You've got children in the background. You've got things to do today. You've got things that happened yesterday. There's always something on our plate. And then to just accept that your mind is so busy, and to accept that your mind's going to keep pulling you away from things. Also, to accept that your mind's going to be extremely judgmental. We touched on this in the previous series. That your mind's going to be judgmental. You're going to say, this is stupid, this is dumb, this is boring, I'm not doing it right, I should be doing it like this, I should be doing it like that. There's no right or wrong way to do it, okay? The exercise itself is just to sit still and notice, all right? To notice. In this exercise, this is called the sitting meditation, and I'm just going to do it for 2 minutes. And this sitting meditation, again, should be built up over a period from 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, as long as you take to be able to sit still. Just on an aside or an anecdote from my own personal life, I've always been quite a high performer, type A personality growing up. Went through my sales career. People were constantly, certainly from my teenage years, telling me, Greg, you should learn how to meditate. You should learn how to meditate. And I tried many different methods of meditation, and I just couldn't sit still. I was too active, and the sitting still thing didn't work for me. Then I discovered mindfulness. And the beauty about mindfulness is that you're allowed to move when you're sitting in a mindful meditation. And it's quite amazing. Initially, I moved quite a lot. And as I've become better trained in mindfulness, I don't move as much or need to move. So I'm not fidgety when I'm sitting still. Because it's literally the brain just saying, okay, move, move, move. So if you need to move in mindfulness, just move. And I'm telling you this as well because we'll do the body scan just now. When you move, just move mindfully. So if your leg is feeling numb, for example, notice it's feeling numb, and then you can move it, but move it consciously, not just unconsciously. So you don't just randomly do it. You make a decision to move your leg. Thanks, Leonie, for checking in. She mentioned that my camera was a bit blurry, but she says it seemed to have rectified, so I did see that. So in this sitting meditation now, I want you to understand that when you're training or teaching yourself mindfulness and you're trying to become more mindful, if you've ever had a puppy and you're trying to teach it to wee on the paper or to wee on the grass, you have to keep putting the puppy back on the paper. Okay, it's going to keep running off and trying to pee on the carpet. You have to keep putting it back on the paper or put it on the grass. So your mind is the same. It's going to keep running away, keep running away, keep running away. Don't get upset about that. Thank your mind for it, because that's how you're going to train. Because every time your mind runs away, you have to bring your mind back. Every time your mind runs away, you have to bring your mind back. So the more times your mind runs away, the quicker you're going to be able to practice and gain some skills in mindfulness. Again, don't get angry with yourself, because if you start getting angry with yourself for your mind running away, it's going to destroy the whole exercise. And another thing, the purpose of mindfulness is not to relax. It will relax you, but that is not the goal. If you make relaxation your goal, you're going to get, again, caught up in striving for this relaxation. And you're going to set up tension in your body, and you're going to say, I'm not relaxed, I've got to be more good at this. I'm failing, I'm so terrible. There goes the judgment again. So all you have to do is sit there, because you've chosen to sit there. We're going to do this for 2 minutes this time. To sit still for 2 minutes, check in with yourself, follow your breathing, say to yourself, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, if you want to do that. Initially, when I first did this, I used to count. Then I found out that wasn't necessary. You don't have to count 5 in, 5 out. None of that. If you're breathing fast, just notice that you're breathing fast. Should I slow it down? No. just follow your breathing. Your breathing will naturally slow as you become more relaxed. So it's just about checking in with your breathing and just staying with your breath all the way in and staying with your breath all the way out. Staying with your breath all the way in and all the way out. If your mind runs away, that's okay. If you've got these thoughts, as I said, that are all over the place, that's okay. Just keep checking, keep pulling yourself back to the breathing. So I need to be focused. In a non-judgmental way, I need to focus on my breathing. Okay. So I'm going to keep quiet now for 10 minutes, for 2 minutes, and just let you do this exercise. All right, and I'm going to be quiet now. Okay, and that's the 2 minutes up, and come back into the room. I should have mentioned in the sitting meditation, there's, like I said, it doesn't matter whether you're lying down, you can do it as a lying meditation, a sitting meditation, you can do it as a standing meditation. There's even a meditation called the walking meditation and the stretching meditation. So you can do these while you're doing a whole lot of different activities. The idea would be to sit upright, to put your 2 feet flat on the ground, try not to cross your legs or your arms, and just to sit naturally as naturally as you can, but sort of in some sort of an active position, because one can fall asleep quite easily once you start checking in with your breathing. All right, so I don't know how that went for you. Again, drop your comments if it went hard or if it was easy for you. I certainly, when I first started doing this, found it extremely difficult, especially because I didn't have a timer in front of me, and our instructor would let it just go on. We would sit for 20, 30 minutes, and I was like, when is this going to end? This is getting crazy. This is boring. What the hell am I doing here? And then when we discussed it afterwards and we processed it, because I'm quite, as I said, opinionated, I said to the instructor, I said, no, I found it really boring, and I thought, have I wasted my money coming on this course? And she just smiled sagely at me and said, that's great. Didn't even offer any comment on my thoughts. But the whole idea, that lesson I learned, was that it's okay to have those thoughts, that it's boring, that I can't do it, that I'm wasting my time, what the hell am I doing here? Those are just thoughts. I don't have to respond to them. And that's okay. So it's okay to have those thoughts. I stuck the whole course out. I did the full 8-week mindfulness-based stress reduction course. I co-facilitated the next 8-week one, and I've run 22 of a similar course based on that in the last 2 or 3 years. So I know all the tricks, and I know exactly how you feel in the beginning, that it's really difficult to do. So, and that was only 2 minutes. So as you can build up your meditation time to 15, 20 minutes, it becomes tougher. But like I said, appreciate the fact that your mind keeps running away from you, because that's supposed to happen, and it's a good way to train. Okay, so let's just check in. So in mindfulness meditation, we spoke recently about that it has these different concepts to it. So you've got the body, and we're going to do that now, the body scan. Then you have the breath, which we've just touched on, these 2 breathing exercises, where we focus on the breath or using the breath as an anchor. And then we also can check in with our thoughts. Using the thoughts and the emotions is to just rather accept them, to notice them and not do anything with them, just to allow them space to be there. And that is what the focus is. But we would particularly be using the body and the breath as our anchors rather than that. And then the idea is not to change our thoughts. Most cognitive behavior techniques, therapy techniques want us to change our thinking. But we don't have to do it once we understand mindfulness meditation, because it can pull us back from it and we don't have to actively fuse with those thoughts. So I'm going to do the body scan now again. This body scan should be 45 minutes to an hour long. And ideally you want to be lying on your bed or lying on the floor or lying on a yoga mat. And again, I'll do this now. We'll maybe spend 5 minutes on it. And I'm quite happy. I've run it with management groups who were uncomfortable lying on the floor because they were worried someone would wonder why is the whole senior management team lying on the floor. But ideally with the body scan, you want to lie flat. Okay. And what one does in this body scan is we use our body as the source of a focus for our attention. So I'm going to just talk you through it. You're just going to sit quietly in your rooms or lying on the bed, wherever you are. And what we do is we start with the toe on your left foot, and we slowly move up through your left leg, down your right leg, up through your body, up through your head, down your left arm, down your right arm. And whatever technique you find works for you. Hi Nadine, thanks for checking in. Use it, because there's no right or wrong way to do this. When I say focus on your toes, the way I do it is I almost put a beam of light onto my toe, and then if I'm looking around my foot, I just sort of imagine as though I'm wrapping it up with something. So I'm using a visualization technique to stay with my foot. But use whatever you use. It's almost like so shine a light on it if you want in your mind. And as we go through the body, this is all you need to do. So I'm going to, again, just check in with me now. It doesn't matter if you're sitting down or lying down, wherever you are. Take a deep breath. We first want to check in with the breath, and then I'm just going to let you move through this exercise. And as I said, I'm going to do it. It's way too fast because it should be 45 minutes, but I'm just going to give you an idea. And the idea is that you can do this yourself. The best way to do it, certainly for a beginner, is to tape yourself, taping a guided meditation onto your cell phone or your computer, and just record your whole voice going through your body. Okay. And again, there's no right or wrong way to do it. Just lead yourself through your body and then put it next to the bed and listen to it when you go through the body scan. Again, every time you're distracted, when you hear a noise outside, just come back to that part of the body that we're talking about. All right, so your brain will keep going around. It's going to throw judgments up again. You're going to keep saying, I'm not doing this right. There is no right or wrong way. Every time you get that thought, just say, I'm not supposed to be thinking whether I'm doing this right or wrong, and come back to your foot, for example, or whichever body part you're on. All right, so let's just take a deep breath in. And a deep breath out. Check in with our bodies. Let's just take 2 or 3 breaths. And now I want you to take your attention down to your left foot. Just starting on the sole of your left foot. Just bring all your attention and focus to the sole of your left foot. And then just starting at your big toe, just run through each of your toes until you end up at the little toe. And then move over to the top of your left foot. Bring your focus to the top of your left foot. And then just move your focus and your attention up through your ankle, up through the calf of your left leg, moving your attention up to your knee, up to your thigh, moving your attention across your pelvic region, down through your right leg, all the way down to your right toes. Just focus on each of your right toes, from the big toe through to the small toe. Focus on the sole of your right foot. Bring your attention around onto the top of your right foot. Moving that attention around your ankle, your right calf, up through your right leg to your right knee, your right thigh, back around your pelvic region to your bum you're sitting on. Then around your stomach region, bring your attention to your stomach, and around your lower back. And then around your solar plexus in the middle of your back. Coming up the top of your back now. And move it around to the front of your chest. Up onto your left shoulder as we go down your left arm. Going all the way down to our fingers first. Focus on your left thumb, your left forefinger, left middle finger, left ring finger, left baby finger. Bring your focus onto the palm of your left hand. Move it around the back of your left hand, up through your wrist, your left forearm, your left bicep and tricep, up over your left shoulder and around the back of your neck, down your right arm to your right hand, focusing on your right thumb, your right forefinger, right middle finger, right ring finger, right baby finger. Focus on the palm of your hand, in the back of your hand, your right wrist, coming up your right forearm, your right elbow, your right bicep and tricep, up your shoulder, up through the back of your neck, and over the top of your head, down the front of your face, through your forehead, your eyes, your nose, and your mouth, your left cheek and your right cheek, and down the front of your neck. We'll just end on 2 or 3 breaths. And we'll come back into the room. So that was a really speedily done body scan. But ideally, like I said, you could work that up to 45 minutes to an hour. Most people fall asleep. When I've run this in a mindfulness course, I think my record was someone falling asleep or starting to snore within, I think they made 1 minute 20 seconds, and this first snores came out. And I often instruct people that it's okay to fall asleep when you're doing the body scan. Again, there's no right or wrong way to do it. Don't judge yourself too harshly for it. It's okay. So let me know how that was for you, and let me know what you struggled with, and we can chat about that. So let's just end on this last slide, this case study again. So Alice and George both work in the same stressful department at work, the customer service center, and they're constantly bombarded with people complaining, moaning, attacking them as the mouthpiece of the organization they work for. And they both were taking a lot of strain in this customer service department. So Alice then started practicing mindful meditation, and George didn't. And when the clients started attacking them and shouting at them, as most people do to customer service people that work there, she realized that her customers weren't directing the anger at her per se. They were moaning about the company, and this helped her to relieve her stress a bit. She was able to step out of her mental and emotional stream. But George hadn't done any of this mindful meditation, so he constantly felt that he was being personally attacked and having to defend himself personally instead of realizing he was a representation of the company. And he just toughed it out. And what eventually happened was George couldn't take it anymore one day and handed a resignation in and left the business. And the only reason this happened was because he hadn't taken any decision to work on himself, build up his coping resources, and learn how to center himself so that he could get out, as I said, of this mental and emotional hurricane that we've used many times. So thank you very much for joining me today. Tomorrow we're going to check in with another series. Just watch for the live feed. Please, if you enjoyed this, tell your friends. If you enjoyed it, tell me too. Check in with me. Let me know how it went. It's not supposed to be easy. We also said it's not difficult, but it does take practice. So the more you practice, the easier it becomes. Understand too that you can never become mindful. You're not going to suddenly one day get a degree in it, because it's a constant ongoing process to stay awake and to keep checking in. All right. Thank you very much, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.